Welcome back to Straight Facts. It's Monday morning. I'm joined by Jamie. Jaws will be with us momentarily, but lots to talk about this morning. A massive, record-breaking bid is expected imminently from Liverpool Football Club for Alexander Isak. Some big updates there, plus we're discussing that. The Sesko deal. It is reported in Germany that both Man United and Newcastle have made strides forward in trying to get that player done, and their personal terms have been offered to the player. It's down to him now to make a decision before club-to-club talks start to accelerate. We're also talking Hato to Chelsea. They're closing in the West Londoners on a deal for the left-back and centre-back of Ajax. We're also going to be talking to George. Oh, George has a right. We're going to be talking to George as well about his club who are in the dock. They're in the dock, Spurs, because reportedly cheated, and now they're not going to get Morgan Gibbs-White. So we've got loads to go through today on the show. Jamie, Jaws, welcome back, gents. You both well?
All good. All good. Looking forward to this week ahead as a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, as good as can be. I would say looking forward to the week ahead, but it's been a tough one for the last couple of days. So, yeah, we'll see how it all plays out, man. Spurs are just doing Spursy things, I suppose.
Well, I wanted to start with that, if I'm being honest with you, because I was in the studio I was in the We Are Tottenham TV studio where we filmed this joint show. We had Henry Wright with us and the Spurs fans all in the room. And they were buzzing just over 2 weeks ago. 2 here we goes in 24 hours, club moving like a big team, spending money. But obviously you got accused of cheating. Gibbs-White has now signed a new deal. And look, we all saw the video. It did look like there was a knife against his back a little bit. It was a little strange with the owner standing next to him. It's only a 3-year deal. The whole situation was a little strange. But Spurs they're not going to get him now. It looks like it's going to be impossible. But there's been no other movement in almost any other direction. There might be some names you're linked to, but nothing significant. What is going on with Tottenham, George?
It's a bit of a mess. I think for me, I was always of the thought that if we know that this deal is going to delay, we should have started to negotiate other deals. I know if we had Fabio Paratici involved, like he was involved a few years ago, he has multiple deals going at the same time. So I wouldn't have been worried. But with Daniel Levy and Johan Langer at the helm, it's always that little worry that I knew that if nothing, like I'm seeing no other links to no other players. We're just sitting around. There's been no progress on this deal. There was always that thought at the back of the mind that Spurs are just going to mess this up somehow, some way. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happens. Morgan Gibbs-White signs a new contract. Marinakis is now on this PR train that we always win. Nottingham Forest have won this deal. They've done so great on this side of the deal to secure him on like some massive terms, and looked into it. The terms ain't even massive. If you actually go back a few years, I'm pretty sure Jesse Lingard is on more money at the time than what Morgan Gibbs-White is on right now, because he got like 180k a week at Nottingham Forest. So it doesn't really show that much ambition from Nottingham Forest as a club to keep him and so on. I generally think this was a case of Marinakis just didn't want his pants pulled down. He didn't want his pants pulled down and embarrassed for Tottenham and the Premier League to take 2 of his best players in just such a short time for 115 million. So when I'm looking at this, like you said in the video, Morgan Gibbs-White generally looks like he's being held hostage. He said I was really surprised as to why he called him Mr. Marinakis about 4 times. Like, I know he's your boss and so on, but I didn't know that in the world of football, you're just like, Mr. is so formal. I thought that they would have had a good relationship. He also went the extra way to say how Mr. Marinakis embodied the type of passion that they want for the club. The dressing room atmosphere was because of Mr. Marinakis. It was just all a bit too PR trained, like answer. Like it was all to Mr. Marinakis. Like they just wanted to get out there how great Mr. Marinakis had done for this deal. But ultimately, look, from the Spurs side of things, it's not the end of the world. I literally was just doing a show looking at some of the other players that Spurs have looked at, and to be honest, there's plenty of other options out there. Even when we signed him, I think like many of other Spurs fans, and like you said, Terry, we're all really happy, and it was more the adrenaline, like dopamine rush that you got from having a here we go and a here we go in 24 hours more than it was Gibbs-White that we were signing. I don't think it was the fact that we signed such an amazing player. It was just the fact that Spurs had 2 here we goes in such a short time. So we was really happy at the signing at the time. But when you evaluate and you take off, you take off your Gibbs-White hat where you're not just looking at it as one player. There's so many other players that you can get similar to Gibbs-White, maybe at a cheaper price. and I'm really not that worried about it. So as long as Spurs go out there and actually spend the money, and they don't just, oh, we were only using that £60 million because this was a good opportunity, and we actually go and use that to buy someone else of a similar level or quality, then I'm really not that worried, because I don't think Gibbs White is that great. He's a good player, but there's plenty of players out there like him in the world.
Who would you go for instead, George?
Angelo still could be an option, you know, midfielder. I've seen that he was linked with Real Madrid early on in the window, but hasn't made a move.
Sorry, who?
Angelo Stiller.
Okay.
If not, I suppose I've seen links to like Jacob Ramsey's all right, but again, I think he is probably he's not as proven as Morgan Gibbs White. Could be of a better quality in a few years, but he's a bit younger, not as proven. Again, Harvey Elliott is another player we've been linked with. Good. But again, not as proven, not the type of player that I really want. I think there's obviously some questions regarding his character as well. So I think that there's a few other players that we could go for. Spurs just obviously need to go out there and find them. I'm still in the mode of doing some scouting myself, because yeah, we need. Seems like Spurs scouts can't do their job, so I'm gonna send them a list. We go out there and Y scout. Don's gonna send me his Y scout. I'm gonna get in his DMs. I'm gonna like, Don, send me the Y scout. I need to do some searching and some scouting. We're gonna send Spurs a list of players we need to look at.
Well, on your Harvey Elliott comment, I want to tell the audience exactly what you said, because you tweeted this yesterday. I saw it, and it was Harvey Elliott is not the solution. I repeat, he is not the solution. Yep. So yeah, you're dead set against him joining. Yeah, dead set against Harvey Elliott joining. I'm really not on with Harvey Elliott. I think he's a type of player who has good moments. He has some really good moments because he's a very good technical player. But for what we need, for one, I want a player that's going to... I know he played in the 8. I know Jamie and some Liverpool fans, they're all trying to sell him to me now. This is so fun. Liverpool fans are trying to sell him. Oh, he's played the 8 under Klopp. He played right.
We don't need to sell players. Michael Edwards is doing a good job of that already.
So... yeah, no, like I know he played in similar position, but I view Harvey Elliott as a more forward player. I see him playing on the right wing. I see him playing in the 10. I see him as a more final third, final action player. So for maybe a club like West Ham or so, I don't think he'd be great. He could be even a Kudus replacement. But for Tottenham, I don't think he's the type of player that we need. And he's not the direct Gibbs White replacement. Like, he doesn't play very similar to Gibbs White in that way.
Yeah, I think Elliott would be good at Spurs, to be fair. He's definitely not a winger. I think that's something that Liverpool fans came to adjust to, because when he plays at right wing, he's probably not in the game as much, like in terms of impact as well. Like Salah's obviously there, so he's not really getting that much game time in essence. But when he plays in a midfield tree, he definitely gets on the ball a lot more. He's definitely a lot more of that creative type player. I think he does need legs around him to get the best out of him, which I think Spurs at the minute. Yeah, I think, would he fit in that Spurs team? Yeah, I think he would do well, but definitely not a Morgan Gibbs White replacement. I'd probably look into more someone like Morgan Rogers if that was like an option. But I think Chelsea are obviously interested in him. I think he'd be a good fit as well, but I don't know if he would make that move. I get that. There's a comment here I want to put out, because it's kind of having a pop at you, George, but also me. And it starts off politely and then gets very aggressive, as in the text. So this is why I have a go at the terrace. You're sitting down, listening to George chatting shit, and still don't call him out about Gibbs White. Joe, I love it. There's an irony in this. Anytime I interject, because I don't understand most of the time I interject with people, most of the time, it's to understand where they're coming from. It's like, what do you mean by that? If I understand what they're saying, I don't ask. I tend to let them just speak and let it out. Your job as the audience is to also challenge as well. It's not just on me. If I spent the whole show challenging everything that at least one person in the audience disagreed with, every show would take 10 hours. So yeah, I'm not going to be doing that, my friend. I'm not challenging everything. Sometimes I just let people speak and I leave it out there for you guys to deal with, you guys to react to. Sometimes I'll challenge it. Sometimes I won't. Please. That's I'd also like to know what he wants to call me out about as well, because I was never a player that I never said I wanted Gibbs White. Even when the news first come out, because I think I was on 12th man with Dan Potts when it first come out, and I was like, I don't really want the player, but I'll take him. It's one of those ones. I'll take him, but I don't want him. So I don't know what you want to call me out about. It's like, I'm not that upset about him not coming, because he wasn't top on or high on my priority list. So it's fine. Yeah, and Matthew, sorry, I am explaining again. It's weird that I have to explain. Like, there was a clip that went out yesterday of me and Aaron and LB from last week, where Aaron was talking about the flops at Arsenal. He's like, Terry, just let Aaron speak and tell you what the flops are and that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm asking how he's working the flops out in his mind, not because he's right or wrong, because the audience was saying, but I don't get what he's saying is a flop and why he's saying it's a flop. I question him. Some go, you should just let people talk. And then other people go, just interject every 5 minutes if I disagree. It's very strange behavior. Just let it flow, people. If you don't like it, do you know what you do? If you don't like what someone said, you leave a comment and you challenge it. It's kind of your role in the audience. Why you have a comment section. It's great. It's the interaction. Thank you. Cheers, Matt. But yeah, look, you guys have got to get a wiggle on as well. Look, Man United haven't had a particularly great summer in terms of enough signings coming in, but we have signed 2 very good players, really good youngster as well. The Sesko deal we'll move on to. But I am looking at Spurs and thinking, the league kicks off in just over 2 weeks, and Kudus, good signing. I haven't watched any of your preseason games yet, to be fair. I'm going to try and get 1 or 2 in before the campaign begins. But yeah, some new blood definitely needed. And it's just interesting watching the Spurs fans go from euphoria to hating on Daniel Levy in the space of 2 weeks again. It's hilarious. Equally, I'm laughing at all the Man United fans that were using you guys as one of the pin-up boys of this is how a real club runs. And I remember saying to them, we are Tottenham boys at the time. I said, I'm not going to use Daniel Levy as a yardstick because you guys hate him. It's just like, as you said, it was a dopamine release. Now, again, I'd much rather Man United summer than what I've seen at Tottenham and Newcastle so far. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm not saying ours is perfect, but I wouldn't bloody swap. I'll tell you that now. Viewers, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions in the comment section below. Make sure you are subscribing as well and that you've got the bell notification button turned on. Speaking of Manchester United, big story that I'm going to read out here from Plattenberg this morning, which I think is very interesting indeed. Let's read this out so that we don't misquote the guy. We'll come back to some comments in a minute, but it says here, Man United and Newcastle are currently in talks with Sesko's team. Both have presented their projects and financial offers. The decision now lies with the player. He does say, Plattenberg, that Newcastle are really pushing. So I think they're trying to break the bank here personally. He says offers are expected to be formally submitted to Leipzig after the player makes his agreement. How do you see this one playing out? Is this going to be one that Newcastle land, or could there be another sting in the tail for them with Man United to actually take in the third? If United pull this off, it's the 3rd player this summer that United will have landed ahead of them. There were some reports over the weekend he prefers Man United. Jamie, what are you saying? What's going to happen with this deal?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think Newcastle, I'd say, they haven't been able to get a lot of their transfers over the line. Obviously, they brought Elanga in, but they've been rebuffed so many times, as you just said there. Like, they've been rebuffed two players. Man United have got over them. So, yeah, I think they're probably a bit nervous about the situation. Obviously, Visa as well is someone that they said they had an agreement with 26 million with Brentford, and Brentford said they were going to let him go for that, and now they've obviously upped that offer. I think a lot of teams now, with the fact that Liverpool are going to be pushing for Isak of around 120 to 150 million, that almost puts the price up for some of these players. So I would be worried if I was a Newcastle fan, because of Isak is obviously wanting to go to Liverpool. He's pushing for the move. Obviously, Fabrizio's come out and said Saudi have put in offers, but he says no, he wants to go to Liverpool. It's only Liverpool that he wants to go to. And it's going to be very hard to keep him and to get him to change his mind. And if they don't get someone in to replace him, they're basically going to be going into the season without a recognised striker. Callum Wilson has obviously left. So then they have Gordon, Elanga. I think I've seen some Newcastle fans worried as well, because some of the replacements that they have from the academy, they're not going to cut it going into a season. So they need to get someone over the line. But yeah, I think Leipzig will play a little bit of hardball. Now United coming into the equation, it'll be interesting to see what way they develop it, because in fairness, I think it's actually panned out nicely for United, because they've obviously focused on Cunha, and Mbeumo took a little bit longer than expected, and now Sesko has become available because he didn't go to Arsenal. So if they're able to get them 3 over the line, then that's a really good transfer window for United, in my opinion, and Newcastle will be left wanting again.
I'm gonna come in. Oh, sorry, no. I thought Terry was gonna come in. And I was like, no, I'm gonna come in. I think for Sesko, it's a difficult situation, because he's looking at a spot. No, I'd say it's difficult. It's not difficult. When you're looking at Cunha and Mbeumo, you can understand probably why they've chosen Manchester United, because they have the belief that they could probably take Man United back into Europe next year. So they've not been playing Europe for however long in their career. They're fine with another season sitting out. I think Sesko is probably at the case of when we've seen him being linked with, Arsenal, Liverpool, and some of the other teams early in the window. You can tell he wants that big move. He feels like he's ready to platform himself on the Champions League stage. I think that he'll probably opt to go to the Newcastle deal. Like you said, Terry, Newcastle are going to present this as a massive project to him. He's now going to be the face of the next 4 to 5 years. What Isak was to them, they now need to present that to him. I think they're probably going to be able to offer a bigger package than you guys salary-wise, because I know Man United are in a stage where you're trying to bring down your salary, so you're probably not going to offer a young player huge amounts of money. Newcastle are in a stage where they could probably take that risk with Isak going out. We've also heard news regarding Tino Livramento being interested with Manchester City and so on. So Newcastle are looking like they're losing. They're getting plucked really, really thin. A big player like Sesko, they could afford to put on some big money. So I think it's probably going to be a case of he's going to make the choice to go to Newcastle between the two. I can see Man United. I've got a feeling you guys aren't going to sign a striker. We saw the report of Amorim pretty much saying how he's happy with his squad, which was crazy, to be fair. He said he's happy if he goes into the season with this squad. Now, obviously, I know that's a bit of PR stuff, and he's just sort of putting it out there. But he also said a lot of things about the other players that seemed like he was too convinced in that himself. So I think I can see Man United, being interested in a few strikers like we've seen, but not actually pushing ahead whilst Newcastle wins this deal this time.
They could. Look, I think they're going to break. I know they weren't willing to go above 200k for Isak, but I think they'll be willing to get somewhere. I reckon they're going to end up doing something close to that for Sesko. Yeah. I agree with you. I don't know if we will. On Amorim saying he's happy with what he's got, I expect him to say that publicly, because he may end up being left with what he's got, and it's not going to help you get these players to run through brick walls. Those players are not going to make themselves suffer. And I'm going to use that word on every stream now and talk about players working hard, because it's right. The players are not going to make themselves suffer if the manager don't rate them, or if he's publicly stating they're not good enough. They're just not going to do it. Why? 13 years of history proves I'm right at Man United, that is. The Sesko deal, I like him. When he was linked to Arsenal, I wasn't one of these weirdos sitting here saying how crap he was, how rubbish. He's not a bad football player. I like him. I'd be happy with him coming to Manchester United. I'm just doing this based on probability. We've beaten them to 2 signings already, Cunha and Mbeumo. I'm just going on probability. I think we'll lose out on this one. It might be they pay more than... The only thing about them paying him big money, though, is they're still going to be in the situation they were with Isak, which is, well, everyone else is going to come knocking on the door, and they don't have them. Even with the Isak money, they are going to spend half of that on a new player. They can't afford to put Sesko on 200k a week. Potentially, if then Ramsey and Guimaraes and Botman and Gordon, they're all going to want 200k. But if they all suddenly want an extra 50k, 70k, an extra 80k, 90k, extra bonuses, that really adds up quickly. And I think that's the element for me where I hope we have an advantage. But
what's United's budget like? Can they afford it? Because I'm not in the clue with their budget.
United always lie but say they got no budget. And they know they've got just funds there.
They'll sack off another dinner lady.
Well, this is the thing, right? So we knew we had around 100 to 120 million to spend without having to sell anybody. But Rashford has now gone. And yes, we haven't received any money up front for him, but we're going to, the hope is 30 million next year. Plus, we're saving 16 million pound in his salary. So there is suddenly a budget of money back. There's talk of the Anthony deal. There's talk of the weekend was interesting. His agent was talking on radio and said that he's open to a move to Saudi. There's now talk of a big offer from Saudi coming in. I hope something like that is true again. If a 40-50 million pound offer comes in for him, you get 200k a week back in salary. Plus, you actually make about 15 million pound profit on the player, which is unbelievable considering how bad he was. You do that, there's suddenly money. The other element where I am quietly confident is we made an inquiry. So this is United can't get him, you're broke, but you're the same fans that laughed we tried to get Ekitike and got rejected. So why would we have gone in for Ekitike for him to have gone, actually, yes, I prefer you, and then we go, sorry, mate, no money. I don't... As bad as run as we can be, as embarrassing as we have been, we're not doing that either. So the idea there's no money, I think, is wrong. I think we do sign a striker. I'm not sure if it's going to be Sesko. I'd like him, though. I really would like him at the right price. The issue I've got is that the prices that you're looking at right now for Ollie Watkins, I think the 60 to 70 millions they're talking about is too much money for what he is. I'd rather invest that in a very good striker like Sesko, who's got the potential to get become better than Watkins. My only reservation with Sesko, I've said it all along, I agree with Staffy on this, is if he comes in and he doesn't quite click and he struggles with development, and you get a kind of another Rasmus, even though I think he's better than Rasmus, you get another situation like that. That's my fear with it. That is my fear with signing a young up-and-coming player. At the same time, there's talk of it being a really good deal of around 50-odd million. So I'm up for that. Salary-wise, we've got it covered because Rashford's gone. That's £325,000 a week back that we've got. So yeah, I'm not too worried about the salary. It's whether we've got it's. I just feel like Newcastle knowing they're getting that Isak money.
Yeah,
you know, they might even be getting that Livramento money. I just feel like they might either salary or transfer fee. I'm thinking more about it's the fee. They might just turn around to Leipzig and go, look, there's an extra 15-20 million. We're not going to be able to do that. We might have some money to buy him. The only way we get him, I think, is actually if the player says unequivocally, I want Man United. We have to convince the player to only want us. That's the only way. If we get into a bidding war with Newcastle, they have more available cash because of the Isak sale. So yeah, that's what I
do. They haven't spent that much money either. But I'd say if United were to sell Anthony and Garnacho and they were to, I don't know, get say 100 million between the two of them, I don't know, like it might be a little bit 80 to 100 million, say. Then I think that might escalate the Sesko deal pretty quickly because, as you said, the wages are there, but it's more the transfer fee.
Yeah, no, I agree. That could certainly do it. And this is, look, Man United do also have a credit facility with a couple of banks actually that they can use. And I suppose it's about, they'll know internally how close certain deals are. So if they know, well, actually, look, we know that this bid from Saudi is coming, the player's going to agree personal terms. We know that Juve are coming back for Sancho with a £20 million bid later in the window. And we're very confident of that based on their relationships and conversations. They may execute a deal now where in the short term they use a bit of a credit facility to pay for it, knowing they've got money coming back in later on down the line. So there is that. I mean, in fairness, clubs often use their credit facility rather than their cash anyway. So there is that option. But what I don't want to see us do, and just put aside for a moment whether you like Sesko or not, we just take the club like him. I just don't want to see us miss out on a player because we haven't sold to enough players today. I get us not panicking and not underselling. I've advocated for that. I don't want us to panic and overpay for players because I think in the longer term that kills your club. I think it makes you look like clowns. I think it makes you look unprofessional. And again, why are players going to suffer? Why are players going to run through brick walls for a club that isn't serious? You have to think about the jobs you've had, boys. And imagine you looked at your bosses like they were clowns. And if you turn up late for work, you get away with it. If you don't hit targets, you get away with it. They don't really care. You're never going to work hard enough. You'll work hard, but it'll only be to a certain point. And we've all been in those situations. So yeah, we could do it. I mean, it would be hilarious to just because, for me, I've never had a rivalry barring the 90s with Newcastle when we're challenging each other for the title. I've got a cousin who's a Newcastle fan and friends. I've never had a problem when they got rid of Mike Ashley. I sort of celebrated with them because I felt that I'm so happy they got rid of a terrible owner. I was actually happy when Liverpool got rid of Hicks and Gillette because I don't like people like that damaging these working class clubs and communities that have been around for over 100 years. I hate it, despise it. But the way Newcastle fans have been towards Man United in the last 2 or 3 years, I don't quite know where the rivalries come from, if that makes sense. It's kind of weird. Maybe it is the 90s. Maybe it is because we're the biggest club in England. I don't know. But it would be hilarious just to sit on Twitter and go through Newcastle tweets if we were to get him. Aside from the football, it would just be really funny to kind of watch that. I'd enjoy it.
I've been having the best of time just winding up Newcastle fans this past week. Like, they have been so emotional in the fact that they've been rejected by anyone and everyone in this window. And it's so hard for them to fathom that even with Champions League football, they can't attract players. And I think it's one thing that, like, it's a reminder for a lot of fans that, for one, Manchester United, like, big clubs don't necessarily need Champions League football to attract players because big clubs are big clubs for a reason. Players know that eventually they're going to be back on those platforms and they're going to get back to that European Champions League level. But more than anything, nobody wants to go Newcastle. There's nothing bringing you to Newcastle. They've not got attractive players. Their best player now wants to leave them. Look at Alanga. He's joined them and everybody around him is leaving. You've got Eddie Howe, who's a decent manager, but it's not like in the world of Europe, he's an attractive manager who's so many people are going to want to come and play for. You don't look around and say, I want to play for Eddie Howe. You don't want to play under Eddie Howe's club. And nobody wants to go live in Newcastle. They want to come to London. They want to come to the hub of Europe. So when it comes to, whether you're going to choose, even like I can see Crystal Palace getting players over Newcastle. That's how bad it is. I think you have Crystal Palace going for players out there. They're offering European football right now. Like, I generally think Newcastle are in such a bad position, and they need to fix the financial side of things, because until they can offer big wages and they can offer that in 250k a week, so those wages that no other teams can offer, they're not going to be attracting loads of big players over there. I think players will only go there for the money, and right now they're not offering groundbreaking money to anyone.
I would still say it's like they haven't obviously been able to get the transfers out of line. I think that's an issue, but I still would say it's like an attractive place to go in terms of like maybe what they have. I feel like they're kind of at that stage when Mark Hughes was at Man City and they were kind of like moving up in like towards getting Champions League and trying to get to where they are. It's going to take them longer because they have the PSR framework around them. But like you look at their team, like Bruno G, Tonali and Joelinton, like that's one of the best midfield threes in the league, 100%. I think if Livramento goes, that's an issue. But like Lewis Hall was brilliant last year until he got injured. I think Trafford not coming, that's a problem. I think Pope has been good, but I think that's somewhere they're trying to upgrade. And then if Botman's able to stay fit, they have a decent pairing in Botman and Schär. Isak going is the big issue. Now they need to replace him, but they have Champions League. If they stay in the Champions League this year, which I think that was the issue when they got it a couple of years ago, they weren't able to have a squad that was able to compete in the Champions League and the Premier League. So if they're able to do that and then get in the Champions League again next year, and with it being 5 places again this year, the likelihood, then I would say that issue in terms of money and the backing that they have, that's going to go up and they're going to be able to continue to attract players. And I think people will go to them, definitely ahead of Crystal Palace and even potentially against, say, the likes of Spurs. They'll be competing with Spurs eventually because, like, I think that's the way it'll go.
But that's the thing. They need to maintain Champions League level for years. And that's the hardest thing, is to maintain competing in the Champions League, especially when you're losing your best players. Tottenham have managed to do that over the years, and that's what maintained us and where we've put ourselves in a certain position, because we lose our best players but maintain a certain level. Newcastle haven't shown that. Now, if Isak going, if they can maintain it, then it's a different conversation. But if Isak leaving, I see them dropping off heavily. So it remains to be seen, but we have to see how it plays out throughout the season. Isn't it?
It's really interesting as well that I get part of what you're saying, George, and there is elements of truth to it. I also think as well, though, it is a salary issue, and it's used as a dig towards Man United. It will be used as a dig towards Liverpool with the players they're bringing in. If you actually look at the salaries that it's not Wirtz, actually, the Germans, it's Wirtz. That's actually, it's meant to be said German, it's Wirtz. What Wirtz is earning and what Isak's going to come in and be on anywhere between 280 and 320 for Liverpool. He's going to be, because of how much you're paying it. You don't pay that kind of transfer fee and then not reciprocate that in salary, and that's fair.
They're saying about 280 and then bonuses, so it'll probably be pushing 300.
The problem that you have is that clubs like ours get bantered. You ain't got no pull. The player only went to you because of the money you offered. But it's almost a little bit of an oxymoron of a comment to make, because when our massive, it doesn't matter that Man United were 15th, we are still who we are. Any big institution, let's just say, I don't know, you do coding, and Apple come to you and say, look, we want a new, I don't even know what the roles would be called, so I'm sorry if it sounds basic, but I'm going to break it down on the basic level so everyone understands. We need someone to run our coding department, and we think you are the best in the world. And you go, great. They're going to have to pay you the salary of the best person in the world, and you know they can afford it. Otherwise, you're not going to go there. There's no way that... The problem is with Newcastle, when you've got the teams like Arsenal and Man United and big European clubs going after Cunhas, going after Mbumos, going after, wanting your Isaks, those players are then going to turn around and say, look, we're happy to join. But the biggest clubs in the world think that I'm one of the best wingers in the world, one of the best 10s in the world, one of the best strikers in the world. Therefore, I want to be paid as one of the best players in the world. And Newcastle don't have the income for that yet. I don't necessarily think I know London's attractive, but let's have it right. When you're this rich and you're this wealthy, you can get an express train. You're in London in a few hours. You're in VIP. Listen, I reckon some players from the north of the country on a VIP express train, right?
They're getting private jets. They're not even getting
private jets. They can get to London quicker than it takes someone to drive from East London into Central London anyway through the traffic. They'll be jumping on a private jet. They're down in 30 minutes. They're landed in a city airport. They're on a taxi bike or in a chauffeur-driven car to their hotel. It's not an issue to these players. They are super rich. It is about, though, what they can be paid in salary. And this is still the fundamental fact that Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, I'm not sure about Spurs. I haven't looked, but I guarantee it's there. Our wage bills and bonus bills a year surpass Newcastle's entire income. Even with Champions League money, the likes of Liverpool and City, especially because they're successful, will be paying out more salary and bonuses than Newcastle earn in income, which is why I've said for years, I don't have the same yardstick for every single club. I don't expect Newcastle to get to the top as quickly as Chelsea and as quick as City did with new billionaire owners, because they are restrained because of PSR. They do need to naturally get to that level. I still advocate for the rules being in place because there are dozens of examples in the pyramid of football of billionaire owners or rich owners coming in, spending loads of money, creating massive debts. And yes, the salary for players is a debt because you've got to pay it, then pulling their money or walking away, and the club's going out of business, almost going out of existence, going bankrupt into administration. So you do need it. You absolutely need it. As a point I made out, Newcastle organically can't turn over don't turn over enough money, don't have enough fans to generate enough money to pay the Man City players. So you couldn't then sign players and pay them those wages. Imagine something happens and Piff pull out. What's going to happen to Newcastle if they've got what happens if they've got a £500 million wage bill, but only a £300 million a year income? Think about our own bank accounts. Imagine your outgoings are £5,000 a month. You only earn £3,000 a month. You're in the shit, bruv. It's not good. You're done. So yeah, look, Newcastle I don't even want to sound disrespectful with the phrase I'm about to use, but they just got to get their money up. They got to get their money up. That's it. Get your money up. And that will come in time. That will come in time. Oh, wow. Look at this offer here. What is this? Real Betis. They're taking the piss out of Man United. Man United have rejected an offer from Real Betis. 20 million euros from Real Betis with 50% of Anthony's economic rights. It's like, what good, economic rights?
I would have thought that's a pretty good deal. They're basically offering you like 20 mil for 50% of the player. You get 50% sell-on clause, like.
No. For me, you can't have your league tweet and call him the GOAT 12 times on his loan and not pay us GOAT money. That's what I'm saying. You can't be pushing out that Newcastle. This is the thing with Newcastle fans. You can't sit there and go, we've got the best striker in the world, got the best striker in the world, got the best striker in the world. How dare he ask us to be paid like the best striker in the world? What are we doing? What are we doing here? For me, Real Betis and La Liga, they can't be talking about Anthony like he's this brilliant player and then expect to get him for 20 million euros. I'd rather lose out completely and stand on business and say no deal and be strong. So in the longer term, we benefit than succumbing to this. Because I tell you who wouldn't do it. Liverpool wouldn't roll over and have their bellies tickled like that. And every Man United fan out there that's crying at the moment, just get him out. Just get him out. They all want to be Liverpool. But as me and Jamie were saying behind the scenes, they're not prepared to do the things that Liverpool do to become the club that everybody's now pining to be. So it's dropped me out with that bullshit. Fucking 20 million.
Terry,
fuck your mum, Batiste. Fuck your mum.
But there's a point of when you have to look at a player and you just need to cut ties. Like Anthony around the world of football is probably not valued 30 or 40 million what Man United think he is. There's no other clubs that are going to come in for him. Real Betis is probably the only suitors and the only club that is coming in for him right now and offering any type of money, let alone the 20 million, which is potentially that they're matching your valuation of around probably 35 million. They're just not willing to pay that all up front. They want to give you 50% for the player, and you could work out a deal where it gets staggered across a few years. But more than anything, sometimes you have to cut your losses. You have to take the money you can get. I'm looking at it and I'm like, nobody else is going to come in for Anthony. So either you get no money for Anthony and he stays at your club and he plays barely any minutes and you pay his big wages, or you get rid of his wages, get rid of him.
There might come that point. But with the Saudi stuff going on, if Saudis come in and go, there's 35. Listen, if they're prepared to pay £48 million for Joao Felix, again, Anthony's done better than him in the Premier League. You know what I mean? He has. It's a fact. Did better than him in Spain as well. So for me, that's why I wouldn't do it. It's not about cutting losses. It's about setting a precedent for the longer term. I would rather, if we're going to lose money on him, I'd rather lose money on our terms by saying I'm not gonna have you tickle my belly. I'm not gonna have you bend me over and give me a new one. We have done that for 13 years, and it's why we're a laughing stock. It's why our players don't work hard enough. It's why when Ineos came in and they reviewed the business, it's why the storerooms for the maintenance guys was over. We had like equipment in there, £100,000 worth of equipment that had been ordered and never used. It's why the canteens and kitchens, as good as they were, there was waste and thousands of pounds of money a month being wasted in food that nobody was eating. And as much as everybody's angry that these cuts have all come in, well, they're taking the piss. At the end of the day, George, if you buy food for your kids and they go, Daddy, buy me this, Daddy, buy me that, and you get it out for them, you come back in the room, it's all gone to waste, they're not eating it, you're going to, next time they ask for it, you're going to say no. And that's the way Man United have got to behave. That gets better behavior. And this is the thing that everyone's forgotten about when it comes to Man United. We've been run like a joke, and United fans are not strong enough to stand on. I've been used this phrase by Staffy a few times recently. Man United fans are not strong enough. The women are fine. It's the male Man United fans out there are not strong enough to stand on business and to do tough love and go, do you know what? We're not going to waste money here. Do you know what, Real Betis? We're not going to have our bellies tickled. Do you know what? We're not going to pay a massive severance on this and lose money. We'll play him. We'll keep him. Yep, fine. We'll work it out. Handle it internally. We've got to be a little bit stronger, man. We are a weak, meek, flaccid, impotent, banal, vulgar football club at times for being that. We're weak and nasty and beta and I want us to be stronger than that, man. It's so horrible watching us behave like that and just get like Fergie would never have let that happen. David, he just wouldn't have done it. He'd have laughed and walked out of the room. We're laughing stock now. So no, do this Real Betis deal, Ineos, and you're finished. Wallahi, you're finished, is what I'm going to say there to them. Viewers, give us your thoughts. Give us your opinions. No, I mean it. It'll kill me to see that. It'll absolutely kill me to see that. Terry living entirely in the past. No, I'm living in the modern day world. It's what the biggest and the best clubs run clubs in the world do. They don't have their bellies tickled. It's literally the here and now. Again, and if you think it's wrong to just let people walk all over you, be a doormat, if you think that's the right way, if you think being a laughing stock and being walked all over is the behavior of a business, a family, a man, a club, a football team, if you think that's the behavior that will make any of those things in life successful, good luck. Because at 60 years old, you're still going to be in mum and dad's basement. I'm sorry to say that, my friend. You are. You're going to be there. You really, really are. You really, really are. Liverpool. Oh, we'll come on to that in a minute about Liverpool. But viewers, make sure like buttons have been hit. Make sure you are subscribing. I want to talk Chelsea here for a minute. I want to ask you guys about that Joao Felix deal, because there was a lot of frustration and anger yesterday online from people. People don't understand how they paid around 40 million for a player who flopped and they're now getting 48 million. There's calls that there's fraud going on because PIF are an investor in Clear Lake. What do you guys make of this?
I feel like this whole window, there's been, I don't want to say fraud, but some type of money laundering going on around the world of football, like the money washing, sports washing, whatever you want to call it. Because it's like the past couple of years, there's been not that much money in transfer windows. And all of a sudden this summer, everybody's got a bunch of money to spend. Everybody's got 50 to 60 million pounds to throw around at players. And like you said, there's too many coincidences with a lot of these deals happening, how they're happening. Like John Duran, seeing him go after just spending 6 months at Al Nassr to go on loan at Fenerbahce, who now have God knows how amount of money to pay his wages. I think it's all a bit strange. It's all a bit strange. And it's like the Saudi deals seem far too keen to do favors for Premier League clubs and some other clubs. And it seems like maybe the Saudi clubs are potentially, doing it as, okay, look, we're going to pay you a little bit extra this time. So when we need a favor, I don't know what type of favor that is, but they've got them in on the back end. Because like you said there, Joao Felix has been an absolute flop for Chelsea. And I thought the deal was written around the same, but to see that they've got more money for him, 48 million pounds. It's crazy that this player has even secured around 250 million pounds in transfer fees in just himself, moving around clubs. It's just not making sense. A player that's consistently flopped at all these teams, all these other clubs still want to pick him up. And I'm pretty. He's got the super agent, has he? Is he managed by Jorge Mendes as well? So if that is the case, then this all makes sense to me. It's just like, oh, super agent doing super agent things, pulling some strings, pulling some favors, calling in some favors, and making deals happen. But definitely something strange going on in the world of football, because yeah, how that's been made to happen and how Chelsea are constantly the team that always the beneficiaries of it. It's just not making sense. It's not making sense.
Well, this comment here said Chelsea have offloaded a fair few to Saudi. Mendy, Koulibaly, Felix, Angelo. There's something dodgy there. What's your thought on it? Do you think there's something dodgy going on?
I don't know. I think it's more accusations than anything else. I think like with Saudi, they just want to buy as many players as possible to make the league as good as possible. Like the most amount of money spent in the transfer window is 2023, and it was 2.44 billion. And that was when I think that was the year that Saudi started putting money in. So like if they are starting to spend money on players and putting money more into, say, the players that are in Europe, then there's naturally going to be more money to spend. I think the way Chelsea's model is now is that they buy a lot of young players and sell. So like you see like some of the transfers that they have now going around, like say with Gittins, for example, he might come in and be like really good for, say, a couple of years, and then someone else like Atletico Madrid might come in and spend like X amount of money on him and Chelsea will let him go. They don't mind doing that, and they don't mind bringing a lot of players in with potential sell-on. So, yeah, I think the Saudi money it's Saudi money. Do you know what I mean? It's unlimited. They're not constrained by by financial fair play, so they can spend as much as they want, and bring in the players that they need to spend, or bring in the players that they need to do to improve their league. That's what they want to do. Like, say if Anthony goes to Saudi and he's valued at 20 million, and they spend 40 to 50 million. Is there something fishy going on there? Do you know what I mean? It's not. I just think they need to spend bigger wages to attract players to come to that league. So that's the way they're going to do it.
Yeah, I'm the same as you, Jamie. I think I get how it looks because they've got the Clear Lake connection and everything else. But Chelsea are notoriously very good sellers, and they have been for a long time. Why? To all the Man United fans crying in the comment section that we should just get rid. The reason why Chelsea are so good at selling is because they don't just get rid. Typically speaking, they push, they wait, they hold on, and they're steadfast in their approach. But again, that takes real patience and real alpha still to do that. And most you crying don't have that. Equally, look, Man United were going to get offered over £100 million for Bruno Fernandes a few weeks back, but Bruno Fernandes didn't want to go. There are players in our squad. There's been a few talks about Luke Shaw and a few others. The issue is as well, it's who are these players playing for? What are they earning, and will they play, and can they go? And I actually think if Man United were in a better situation financially, we'd be able to sell more players to Saudi. In the sense of, I think some players look at it and go, well, I know if I stay, I'm going to get the play. And I still think Joao Felix would rather be in La Liga or the Premier League, but no one's coming in for him. Chelsea can afford to buy even if he stays at the football club. It isn't like, well, can't afford if Joao Felix doesn't go, we can't afford anything, so we're gonna have to just keep him and he's gonna get to play. Because they're so well run, they're in this situation where the players know, well, I'm just not going to kick ball and I'm going to sit in the reserves and I'll get sent out to, Timbuktu on loan. I'm not going to enjoy it. At least if I take this move, I'm going to earn good money. I'm going to be at a club that wants me. So it puts you in a stronger position to negotiate. So look, I love it. I'm not against it. I just want my club to start doing a bit of it. Like I said before, if you can sell your women's team to yourself, do it, Man United.
Loads of teams are going to do that now, though. Loads of teams are going to start doing that because it's legal. Because it's free money.
Yeah, and they're going to wait. They're going to wait until they're struggling. I think most will wait until they've slightly overspent. Oh, we're going to get in trouble. Now we'll do it. They'll sort of save it as like a comfort blanket. They'll look at what else they own around their club. We own this building. We own that building. We own that hotel. We own this street. We own this. What we'll just do, they probably own loads of properties. A lot of football clubs where it again would make sense rather than renting. They probably buy properties, put new players that move to that area in them. They'll just get to a point where they go, right, we've got to raise £5 million to avoid PSR. Let's sell these 3 bits of land or 3 bits of properties to our owner's company. That's what everyone's going to do it now. And look, if it's in the rules, it's in the rules. I'm not personally against it.
There's a bit of a conflict of interest from, like, I don't like how PIF have got such a stake in so many different clubs, as in they're involved in Newcastle, they're involved in Chelsea. There's also talks that they could be involved in Tottenham with some sponsorship deal to our stadium. So it's like, is there not a conflict of interest that they've got involvements in 3 different teams in the league? So like you said, and they also own quite a lot of these Saudi teams and so on. So when there is deals going on, it's like they are just moving money around. So like if we start to see, I don't know, let's just say this sponsorship deal gets triggered and now Spurs start to do more business with Chelsea, or all of a sudden start doing business with Chelsea because we haven't in 20 years, start to do more business with Newcastle. It's like, this is just all strange. And I feel like we can't just ignore all this stuff. And I know as fans, we're going to be told we're conspiracy theorists and stuff, but there is all too much coincidences going on. And I don't think that this stuff should be ignored. And ultimately, the rules aren't going to be put in place because it benefits too many people. Too many teams are beneficiaries of these rules. Like you said, Jamie, teams are going to start selling their women's teams because it's like, oh, Chelsea have benefited, we have to benefit.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think the Premier League are going to put in the rule now because Chelsea and Aston Villa have done it. It'd be too late to put in the rule because now everyone's going to complain that these two teams have done it and we haven't been able to do it. So it's just a case of everybody is going to start cheating. But I think there needs to be some consistency with the conflicts of interest because I don't think a team should have involvements in 3 different Premier League clubs.
No, I think, yeah, that logic makes sense to me. But what I would say is that is an issue that FIFA or the Premier League, whoever it is, that they would have to address with the teams themselves. Because say if they are clubs obviously go through rigorous tests before they're allowed to be bought by another club. So if the Saudi were able to buy Newcastle, then they feel like they've passed the test. So having additional investment in other teams, but like their different branches and stuff, that's something that might be different. Like the issue I think is now is that because Saudi is obviously started to push their own league and they've started to make investments in different parts of football, and they've done it with other sports as well. Do you know what I mean? Like they're big on the boxing. There's obviously in La Liga, some of the matches have been started to play in like Saudi as well. Like there's a lot of money that's coming in, and for these clubs that, especially post-COVID, that were struggling a lot financially, that's money that is going to help them get back on track. And even say with Newcastle, for example, like if Newcastle's going to Liverpool, if Isak is going to Liverpool for 150 million, and then say Isak didn't mind going to Saudi, they're probably going to put in like a 200+ million bid to get him over the line. So like they have the money that's floating around, they can spend as much as they want, and as long as the Premier League and the other teams are getting paid, nobody's going to kind of question what's going on from that point of view. But if there is something going on, then yeah, it's going to be very hard to kind of target and stop.
Yeah. Look, I don't. There's a few people in the comments that are having a pop at me. Like, Terry, do you think when they got rid of Kante, it was dodgy? I haven't said it was dodgy. I asked a question, and it just shows a lack of intelligence that you think asking a question is a statement. So I'm not going to dignify you with an answer on that. Just read some more books, people. I don't think it is dodgy personally. I also think the Saudis are trying their hardest to, I think whether people like this or not, I think they're trying to attract more people to their nation. They're trying to improve, I don't want to say improve their image per se, but they're trying to make it a desirable place for people to live, people to go on holiday. I don't think they're going to do that by breaking rules in the sports that they're trying to improve. Like they're in boxing, and I actually think boxing has got better since they've been involved because I think there's less corruption because they're just saying, right, how much is this going to cost to get those two promoters to work together, those two boxers to fight, that to be the undercard? What's going to be the cost where everyone's just happy? 80 million for the event. There's 90 million. Have a good time. I think you get less corruption because there isn't any need for this promoter to be like, oh, I'm going to pay off this judge. Maybe I'm just making this scenario up because if my fighter loses, we're not going to get any more fights. We're not going to make any more money. There's none of that because you kind of know that the money's just going to keep coming because it's there. So I don't necessarily think it's that. And I think people hate it when it's not their club. But I reckon today, George, if someone knocked on your door and went, look, there's 80 million pounds for Richarlison, you're saying you're bathing in oil. You're going to you're going to be rubbing yourself up in oil, saying, "Give me that oil money, baby." That's the. You're on mute, bro. You're on mute.
Big facts. I'll do that on stream too. I'll rub myself up to get 80 minutes for Richarlison. I don't mind. I'm not gonna lie about it though. Definitely a little bit jealous, and I'll be the first person to say like it does come from a place of jealousy, but also like. Yeah, like I see my club do business, and I feel like my club misses out more than most clubs because we always have to do things the right way. Because Daniel Levy just wants to be the right way. They're probably just as crooked, but they're crooked they don't do it in the open eyes of everyone. So Spurs we always seem to miss out on these big money moves, these big deals, all these dodgy dealings.
Here we go. Just dropped. I never saw this one coming this summer, but Granit Xhaka to Sunderland. Here we go.
Crazy stuff. I don't know. There's because I heard was it I think I saw Saudi was in for him. I saw there was like bigger clubs in for him, but he's opted for Sunderland. It's been really strange. I'm not really sure what's going on.
Yeah, before we move on to Hato, I want to say about Joao Felix. One of the reasons why Saudi will want him, this man has nearly 13 million followers on Instagram. I was just looking while you boys were talking. On his last 6 posts alone, there's an average of 500,000 likes per post. His football-based posts will get even more views. this is all part of it. It's why he's worth the money to them, because when he's out there, part of their deals will be stories and posts, tell everybody how brilliant it is, how much you're loving it, because that's what they want. They listen, they don't need money, Saudi, but they want they want people to come there and live there and
advertising.
They want ads on there, and it's worth the money to them. So again, I've talked about this for years, but I remember people used to moan about how much money that Rooney used to earn. Why is he earning the same as this player or more than this guy? Forget the football ability. People don't remember. They're too young to remember. There's a lot of people watching. The older people have forgotten the pull and the power and the social media presence. Even back when imagine Rooney coming through now or Beckham coming through now. Do you know how much? I reckon if Beckham was in his pomp as a player now with the same fame, and listen, Messi and Ronaldo have got more followers. Like Beckham would have been on their level, hundreds of millions of followers. He probably, I don't know, what has Beckham got followers now? Beckham's been retired 10 years. What's Beckham's Instagram now? Without even kicking a ball, Beckham's Instagram,
150 maybe
88 million, right?
Oh, idea.
I think if Instagram came out when Beckham was in his pomp, I reckon this man would be on 400, 500 million followers on there. What would then happen when he was a Man United player is if the Saudis were around then, they'd have come in today's, and they'd have paid 300 or 400 million pounds for him, because they would have wanted Beckham to be the face of Saudi tourism. Beckham, when I was in Qatar, and I was learning this when I was out there, so there was lots of players that were at the World Cup, and their face was everywhere. And basically what had happened, they'd signed these crazy lucrative deals where essentially Qatar owned their image rights for a set amount of time. And it was everywhere, and they had to do adverts, they had to do this, they had to do that, and that's what it's all about. So I don't think it's about fraud or money laundering. It's about the richest people in the world with a bottomless pit of cash, just buying what they need. By the way, Newcastle would be operating like this if PSR didn't exist. This is it. Newcastle would be going, right, we've got to improve. These three or four tens don't want to come to us. They'll just keep going down the line for the next best thing, and they will pay a premium to get it done, because it's better to have Joao Felix costing 48 million than a player half as good as him for the right money. It doesn't make sense. Just bring him in. And by the way, Joao Felix will kill it over there. He'll kill it. He'll do well. He really, really well. Beckham wouldn't be as popular today, Terry. Oh, shut up, Maverick. That's why we call him Maradon the moron. He's popular now. He's popular now at 50. He wouldn't be popular.
Beckham would have been like, you see how big, like Jude's been massive the last couple of years. That would have been, Beckham would have been double that. Double what people have seen of Jude. It would have been Beckham double fold. Like,
and Beckham had the I mean, look, Jude, look how famous Jude Bellingham is, how big he is. Beckham's got more than double the Instagram followers of him. Instagram was barely, I don't even know if he had an Instagram account, Beckham, when he was still playing, maybe right towards the end as an example.
When did Instagram come out? It was probably like 2006.
2012, 2013, probably. Instagram was late. I remember I was in like secondary.
Yeah, 2010. So like Beckham would have been, he would have been at LA Galaxy, PSG, I think.
LA Galaxy, PSG times, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then there was only coming out then, do you know what I mean? So it was on the up, so he would have been at the kind of tail end of his career.
Yeah, but this is it though. Beckham didn't join. Google it. Beckham didn't join Instagram until 2015.
There you go. Yeah. So it finished.
So he was retired, and he has more followers than Pedro. Like, look, Mbappe's been around the whole time. Insta's been around the whole time for Mbappe. 125 million followers. So Beckham, who'd been retired for a number of years, who didn't join Instagram until after he retired, he's only got sort of 40 million less followers than the current player that is probably the most famous active player in the world. Beckham would have been twice, 3 times as big. People don't realize. You just don't. And you got to remember about how famous Beckham was. And this is the crazy part of Beckham's fame. Social media didn't exist. We see most things now on social media. You put your phone, you can see it all. It was different when it was the new. What you don't see now, you put the news on and you open newspapers. You are not seeing these players every day in newspapers. You're not seeing them every day on the news. Beckham was every day. Yeah. I don't think people realize that there was such a difference in, if social media existed, it would have been another level. But anyway, Chelsea also looks like they're going to sign Hato from Ajax. What do you make of this deal, gents?
Good player. I can't say that I've watched him enough to sit here and put massive tags in him. From what I have seen of him, he looks really, really like a top player to come in the next couple of years. 19 years of age, captain of Ajax, and we know they like to captain young players. You know, Gravenberch was captain before he left and went to Bayern Munich. Like they tend to have these youngsters come through from their academy and captain their team, but to be so young, be experienced, the way that he plays, their technical ability, the strength. He's one of those players that are quite built, you know, for his age, kind of tall. I think for Chelsea, the biggest thing, I've said that I think he can come in and start. I do think he can, but I don't think he needs to. I think he's probably going to come in and be an option as a backup to potentially Colwill and Cucurella. They've got a lot of game time. He's going to play in either one of those two positions. For the price that they're getting him, you generally just got to laugh because Joao Hato is a top player who can play two positions and for 40 million euros or whatever it is. It's pennies. It's literally pennies of an investment for a player like him. I think Chelsea are just doing, like many of us have said, some great business this window. And they really are. I feel like the last couple of years that they went for some top talents, but they tend to just, it was a scattergun approach. They tend to just go for anyone and everyone. Whereas this year, it seems like they really honed in on the best players at certain age groups in certain positions. You know, like we've seen João Pedro, Xavi Simons, Joao Hato. They're actually really targeting some strong youngsters. So they're putting themselves in a very strong position over the next 2 to 3 seasons. And I can't lie, I am I'm getting more and more worried about Chelsea by the minute because they're making strong signings. It's
win-win for Chelsea because obviously he's someone that a lot of other European clubs have been looking at and haven't made the move for. But if they get him for, what was it, 45 million, did you say?
40 million euros,
40 million euros. It's like even better because if he comes in, he's 19, say he's unbelievable, and they get him in the team and he starts like being really, really good straight away, then that's an area that's a weakness for Chelsea right now. And I think the goalkeeper is the other one. But if they fix that, then they're sorted. If he's maybe not the best, like 40 million euros, Chelsea, the way they do business in selling players, they could easily get that back or maybe potentially more if he's someone that just doesn't maybe fit into their squad. So it's a win-win for them. Another good sign. And to add Xavi Simons as well, if they potentially go and get him, who I'm a big fan of, I think he would fit into that Chelsea team really well. So yeah, like I said it before, I think Chelsea's expectation this year should be to definitely be in a tight race. I don't think with them winning the Club World Cup, showing how good they were against PSG, who have absolutely dominated nearly every team this season, and the money that they've spent, the players that they have, I think now they should be. I don't think Champions League is enough. They should be at least in a tighter race next season.
Yeah, and I think they will be, to be fair. This is from Palmer. I think they say Palmer is the best. There have already been some preliminary contacts on Jackson by Newcastle, but Chelsea are quoting teams 80 million. Sources believe Newcastle's valuation is closer to 65. Well, yeah, look, Chelsea are going to quote the highest price possible, and Newcastle are going to try and get him for the lowest price possible, and they'll negotiate from there. And yeah, Newcastle were talking to loads of strikers. They need them. Terry, these youngsters don't understand how big of a cultural sensation Beckham was, especially in Asia. I remember the whole Japan going crazy over Beck as if it was the second coming of Michael Jackson. Yeah, and younger people that have only lived in the social media era don't understand that this... Like, you think about everyone who's famous now, like KSI, I Show Speed, they're massive, right? We all know how massive. They wouldn't have existed without social media. As an example, footballers, I always think it's about, I always think about this, the early guys that did like Pop Idol and Pop Stars and Fame Academy. There's no social media. Now you get people that can do those shows for the 3 months they're on that show. They go from like 20 followers to like 2 million because of the fame it gives them. They can live off those followers for the rest of their lives. Like you can live off that. This was an era where there was no social media. You only got famous through how good you were at something that was established, football, acting, singing as an example. And then it was all about how you were perceived, by the way, through the way journalists wrote about you. So you could be someone that was really nice, but all journalists might write as horrible things and people could hate you because of it. Social media is so different. You get to decide who you like based on how they put themselves across. And Beckham still shone through. And that, I just don't think people they just don't fathom. They don't get it. They don't understand what this man was. From a fame perspective, was another level. Chelsea have received more money from Arsenal than the Saudis. That's probably true as well. That's a great comment. I like that. I like that a lot. Owners should be able to spend what they want, but the complete funds for a player are placed in escrow account held by the league. Well, I agree with that. So if they run up a debt that's going to be £3.5 billion over the next 5 years on player salaries, etc., they should have to be able to spend it, but they should have to also cover that and put £3.5 billion into an account ahead of time. The problem is they won't do that. The problem is most billionaires won't part with that money. They won't do it. They really, really won't. So that's the issue. You can't, for me, I would not be comfortable with Man United having any billionaire owner from any. I mean, you've got to look at it this way as well. They won't put the money in escrow. It's been suggested to them. They don't want to do it. The reason why I'd be worried about even if United got taken over by a country, basically, part of me would love it. But imagine they run up a wage bill that we couldn't cover. All it takes is a conflict. All it takes is a sanction, and your whole club could disappear. I'd rather not take that risk. Me personally, just my view on it. Not having Spurs fans turn their nose up at Harvey Elliott, by the way, superior to 90% of their current options for sure.
I'm not even going to respond to that. Like, it's not even worth it. So, no, Harvey Elliott's better than 90% of our current options. What are we doing here, man? Like, it's just stupid. I've had people suggest that he will start over Maddison, and I'm just like, what are we doing here? Harvey Elliott's technically good, but he's not even technically better than Maddison. So what? It's just stupidness.
I think he's better. He's more like, what age is Maddison now? Is he 30? He's definitely getting on.
He's a lot older than him, yeah.
But like I think I'd say Elliott coming in, he's definitely someone that could go into that team and improve them. In my opinion.
This here says this next one says Terry Isak is joining Liverpool. It will be a chaotic season. It certainly will be a chaotic season. And look, we'll go into that story now because I know that Jamie's pushed for a little bit of time this morning, but Fabrizio last night, and I want to quote what he said because I don't want to. He said that Isak is dreaming of joining Liverpool, which was first and foremost. But he also said, and I don't know if I bloody bookmark it. We've seen Luis Diaz go the other way, but this comment from him I thought was very, very significant indeed last night. And because I'm stupid, I didn't bookmark it. So it means I've got to scroll now and keep kind of talking.
You'll be scrolling a while without the update.
I hate when I do. Fabrizio, you'll be scrolling. For one day, he's got about 20, 30 tweets. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's a madness. But here he is. He says Liverpool are prepared to go big for Alexander Isak after the Luis Diaz sale. He says that Isak is keen on a move and he only wants Liverpool. A massive bid is expected. You must be very confident now that this is happening, Jamie.
Very confident. I think as well, Craig Hope has been very active in terms of putting out the news. He's a Newcastle-based journalist, and I think he was the one that kind of broke it first around Isak not wanting to go on tour. So, yeah, I think all eyes are kind of pointed directly towards Liverpool, and now it's just about figuring out what the fee is going to be. I think Newcastle they're in a weakened position right now because they can't really force Isak to stay. And he obviously only wants Liverpool. So Liverpool are going to come to the table. I think it's probably 120 million is what they're going to offer straight away. And then there'll be a bit of negotiation. I think there might be potential add-ons that'll get up to maybe 140. And that's how I'll get the deal done. I think there's a move pretty quickly. It obviously depends then as well on who Newcastle are going to potentially bring in and if they can bring someone in pretty quickly because they don't, as I said at the start, they won't want to go into the season without a recognised striker. But yeah, it is crazy. I've seen some Liverpool fans just so excited from across social media, even in the chat as well. I've seen them saying it. But it's weird because I think this Liverpool team, especially under when Klopp came in, they were a team that they bought like the likes of Salah, Mane, Firmino, players that were good, but they weren't like the best of the best in the world. But I think this summer that's changed. Like you look at Kirkez is probably one of the best left backs in the league. Vert's obviously one of the best 10s in the world. Then you go out and sign probably the best striker, all-round striker maybe in the league. I think people will say Haaland, but I think that just comes up to preference. Yeah, and it is scary with how they're doing things. And I think the one thing is the money situation, how well they've managed to get to this point where they're able to go out and spend. Like they're able to go out and spend 300 million and then now Isak's available. They're well within financial fair play to be able to go out and spend 150 plus million to get him over the line because he's one that can take this team to another level and potentially go out and win all the trophies next year. Because I think that with all the money you're spending and being Premier League champions, the expectation will be there for them to go out and do everything to win every single trophy that they're in.
Because obviously you said that Liverpool are looking scary. Is there any point of view, Jamie, that you're feeling the pressure as a fan that if you guys don't win the Premier League or the Champions League next year, where do you go from there? Because like you spent all this money and it's like we have to do something. We have to build on last year. Last year, the expectation pretty much was that you didn't have to win. Like we didn't have to win anything because it was Slot's first year. There wasn't much of an expectation, but now he's set a standard, and you've built upon that standard so much in this window. Like the expectation is that you must, and anything but that is a failure, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think when you're a club the size of Liverpool, I think the expectation should be that you're going in to win every trophy that you should play. I think last season there was probably a little bit of give because obviously you had a rotation of managers and obviously you don't know what to expect with Slot coming in. Then they don't spend any big money and they only bring in Chiesa and it's a team that's finished third. So you're kind of looking at it and saying, is it a team that can go on and compete? So I think most fans last year were probably saying, you know what, a good cup run, get top four, make sure we kind of settle with this manager and then go from there. But I think the fact that you're after winning the Premier League and then going on and improving the team in unimaginable ways, I think the expectation should be there. And I don't think, like, for me as a Liverpool fan, I think most Liverpool fans, the expectation will be that they should go on and win a Premier League or a Champions League or a Premier League and a cup, whatever it is. But that should always be the expectation at a club the size of Liverpool. Like Man United are no different. I would say that between the two of us, I think there's always that expectation going into a season that you should win a trophy. And I think even with United in the worst period, they still are able to kind of chip away at like cups and stuff. Maybe it's not the major trophies, but yeah, 100%. The money spent and Premier League champions, a Premier League or Champions League, that should be the target for this Liverpool team. And I think it will be for every player in that squad.
Yeah, I expect big things from Liverpool next year. And this isn't even meant as a dig, because it's not. I almost think there'd be a disappointment with just one major trophy. I think when you've built a squad of this level, it doesn't mean, and what I say about disappointment, doesn't mean if you win the Prem, you don't have a parade. Doesn't mean if you win the Prem only, you're not happy. I just remember, I'm looking at this through the lens of how I used to view Man United when we were genuinely good. We just won the league. I was still happy. But it was this element of the first wasn't quenched, because ever since we did our first double in the 90s, then we did the double, then we did the treble. For me, it was always win the league and another major trophy. I still consider the FA Cup to be one. And I think that's what Liverpool need to be aiming for, just because that is a standard that your club set before anybody else in the 70s and the 80s, was winning multiple leagues back to back, but it was winning the League Cup, the League, the FA Cup. You know, one year we did the league and the Champions League, and you missed out narrowly on the treble in that final against Manchester United of all clubs. And I think that's what Liverpool need to be aiming for. I think, listen, just winning one of the trophies is great. Being competitive is great, but I think you're going to have the genuine ability. I was watching Wirtz in your preseason game. I've got a lot of sick this week. Why am I watching rivals preseason games?
So good.
Well, I literally have a job, which is to review and talk about rival teams. Imagine not watching them and then fucking talking about them. That would be a proper weirdo thing to do. But he just looks a different level. And you've got Ekitike that's joined that people have sort of forgotten about because of him. But Mo Salah's being forgotten about. Everything's, oh my God, Isak, Ekitike, Wirtz, and Salah. Hello.
Yeah.
And by the way, imagine this, right? This is the scary part. Liverpool's worst attacker next season is going to be Gakpo. Your worst is a lot of teams' best. There has to be a massive expectation, and that isn't to try and trip you up. That's just purely looking at the quality, the investment, the fact you're already champions. The expectation has got to be sky high, in my view.
Yeah, the one thing I would say though, like the expectation should be high. I think the expectations on Arsenal and Man City might even be more intense, especially with like Arsenal this summer have spent near enough in terms of actual amount spent.
I like the deflection skills, but it's a good point, Jamie. It's a good point.
No, it is. They've spent near enough. Other than say when we obviously get in Isak, we'll obviously go a little bit more. But like the the pressure on the difference is Liverpool have won a Premier League. Arsenal are going to spend all this money and they have not won anything. So like the pressure on them to win a league is going to be massive. Man City, they've spent 200 odd million in January and they'll spend another 150 in the summer. That's going to be expectation on them to win the trophy. Pep Guardiola, the expectation that he has a manager is so high that he won't expect anything less than them being first in the Premier League come the end of the season. So the expectations, I think, even though Liverpool have spent a lot of money this year, they're a team that naturally don't spend a lot of money in windows, especially not this much. So I don't know. I would say Liverpool have the backing of winning the Premier League last season, whereas the other teams don't. And Arsenal, especially, I think the pressure is going to be on them. Like if they have a bad start, Arteta will come under pressure straight away. Whereas Slot will be given a little bit more give.
I agree and disagree. I disagree that the expectation is as high, because I think you're seen as the better team, therefore the expectation's higher. Where I completely agree with you, and this is why I think language is important, the pressure on Arsenal is higher in terms of fan pressure, because I know what they're thinking. They've been telling me for weeks on the shows. We had a chance to win it. We missed out. We had another chance. We missed out. Last season we were poor. Now there's another team that's better than us. There is a frustration because in their best moment, they didn't grasp the opportunity. So where I agree with you is there will be a fall. If you guys underachieve this year, there'll be less of a fallout from your fans than if Arsenal don't win the league or don't win something. But that works in reverse. Equally, if you guys do win the league this year, there'll be a big celebration. Your celebration won't be as big as Arsenal's if they go on to win it because of how they're feeling. So I think it works in both directions. But Arsenal, I think, barring Man United and Ruben Amorim, I think the second most pressured team and manager under pressure this season is Arsenal and Mikel Arteta.
They are.
Go on, mate.
But there's also the point that because they've not won anything, they don't need to win the Prem. They just need to win something, Terry. Like they're fans.
No,
and
I think a Premier League or Champions League. I don't think an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup will cut it.
You say that, but their fans are starving. We've seen so many of their fans. We've seen I watch their shows. Like I don't know about you guys, but I tune into Arsenal panels. They're funny. You watch big up to Dan Potts. The Arsenal Roundabout. He's got a good panel. He's got the Yard Man. He gets Gunner. He gets all of the different groups and specs of Arsenal fans, and they all argue. And the one thing that I hear consistently over the weeks is, Arsenal, we just need to win a trophy. Get me the Carabao Cup. Get me an FA Cup, and I'll be happy. Get me they are starving so bad.
I don't believe them. I don't know anyone specifically who's saying that. Do you know why I don't? But do you know why I don't believe them that a Carabao Cup's enough? Do you know why I don't? I'm going to be asking, and maybe this is we can go into this. Maybe they're telling the truth, but I want to start asking some really tough questions. I want to know what quenches people's thirst this year. And what I mean by that is, and the reason why I asked this, of course, if they win a Carabao Cup, when they've won it, they're going to celebrate in that moment. I don't disagree with that. I want to know what's going to quench people's thirst. And what I mean by quenching people's thirst is where you finish the season and you could spend the summer in a pretty good to very good mood based on what your football team has done in that season. That is what I want to know, because that for me is the true expectation. Because I get a feeling there are some gooners that if they won the Carabao Cup, became fifth in the league, went out early in the Champions League, I bet all summer they're angry still. So for me, I don't think it is just enough. I don't think they're telling the truth. I think they need more. So my question, and I could pose it to you boys now, what would be enough to genuinely quench your thirst, where you spend the end of the season and the summer where you're in a good mood because you're really happy with what your team did? Like, what is that? And maybe you haven't thought about it. Maybe we'll wait till next week, right? But my view is that's the question here. Because I don't trust that people tell the truth sometimes when they say, I just want a Carabao Cup. I'm like, I remember when you guys said if you started getting into title races, you'd be happy. You weren't, right? So the goalposts always get moved. So I want to know what is going to quench people's, and there's no right or wrong answer. It's personal. What's going to quench your thirst? And I remember being a United fan, even when Aguero moment, lost the league, I didn't spend the summer angry. Do you know why? Because I knew next year we'd be back in the title race. So I was always happy with my football club, right? So the point is, what's going to quench your thirst, George? What's going to quench your thirst, Jamie? And the viewers, what is going to quench your thirst and genuinely make you happy for the season and the summer where you go, I fucking love my club, man. Like, what's going to make you feel that way? That's the question, I think.
That's a very good question.
I think Liverpool win. So as a Liverpool fan, I would say winning the Premier League, retaining the Premier League, and then having 21 league trophies going like stand out alone. I think that would be crazy. And then winning a 7th Champions League, like to be level with Milan, that would also be crazy. So I think one of them, I'd be happy with one of them. But as an Arsenal fan, I'm thinking of it. Imagine going, right? So the season ends, they win an FA Cup, let's just say, right? Let's just say they win an FA Cup. Arteta gets to the end of the season, they lose out in the league by 2 or 3 points, get knocked out in the Champions League semi-final, whatever it is. Going into that summer, would you be happy as an Arsenal fan? I think most Arsenal fans wouldn't be. I think it's Premier League, Champions League. Like, people be like, oh, well done. 7 seasons, you've won 2 FA Cups, and the first one was at Emery's squad. The same questions will still be asked if you were Arsenal. So I think the pressure is on them to do the same as Liverpool, win a Premier League or a Champions League.
And this is why I asked the question. And I'm going to give George more time to think of his answer.
I've got
That's cool. That's cool, because I don't even know if I've decided on mine yet. Like, I'm being really real about this. I heard Arsenal fans at the end of last season say they'd rather be in the Europa League than the Champions League because they have a better chance to win it. There is some flaws to that logic. One, if you're a team that was only ever good enough to consistently be in the Champions League, you wouldn't be as good as you are now, so it wouldn't be as easy to win. Secondly, I don't believe you, because I don't believe, and why I don't believe you is a lot of you are the same Arsenal fans that were fuming at Wenger, who was winning you FA Cups, had you in the top 4, that wasn't enough. So I just don't believe winning a trophy is enough to quench the thirst. But what's yours, George? What would render you very unhappy and very positive about the future of your club at the end of this season?
For me, and a Champions League place and a trophy, innit? Like, I think obviously building on what we've done this year. I'm not saying that it's like I could still be happy with just a Champions League place, but like I said, what would quench my thirst? I've tasted a trophy this year, so I'm very thirsty for another one. I'm just being honest. That can be a Carabao Cup, it could be an FA Cup. It doesn't have to be a massive one, just a trophy at that. So yeah, for me, that I'd say that would make me a very happy man going into the summer next year. But even if we just get Champions League football, I'll be quite content, depending on the way that it finishes throughout the season.
Yeah, mine's fairly similar to yours. I mean, I think what would completely quench my thirst this season, looking at our situation going into the next year, would be a Champions League finish and a trophy, where I think I could end the season and go, massive improvement. We had some silverware. I would then, and this is a little bit of an assumption in this, I'll be honest about it. You would assume if we came 4th or 3rd from where we were in 15th and won a trophy, that the trajectory was looking like it was going up. Therefore, I would think at that point, I'd go, do you know what? I'm really excited about the next season. I'm really happy with the direction that we're going in, because that would be a massive improvement. I may, in the end, could win a trophy and come 6th and potentially feel similar to that. But I'd love to go into if we improve that much, what I'd then be excited about is another good summer. And you've always got, I always think you've always got a chance of winning the Champions League if you're a team that's improving and getting better. So I'd rather be in that than in the Europa League or somewhere else. But yeah, that would be mine at this particular juncture. And everyone's will be different. City fans won't be the same as United. Tottenham's won't be the same as Arsenal's. But I want to ask that of all my panelists over the next couple of weeks, for people to be honest. And look, but it's not about delusion. It's not about delusion.
Lift them up.
It's about what quenches your thirst. Now, if we come 6th and don't win a trophy, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean I'll be grumpy. It just means I won't feel fully fulfilled for a season. That would make me go into the summer where I'm like, I can't wait for next season. That's the question. I don't believe any Arsenal fan who just goes, as long as we just win a Carabao Cup, I'm buzzing, we're a success. I'm calling BS on that. Because if you come 10th and win the Carabao Cup, I know you're calling for Arteta's head. So you're not lying. Lying's the wrong word. Be honest about it. Like, think about the scenarios. I don't think they're telling the complete and utter truth. I want to say a big thank you here, by the way, to Lethal, who has gifted 5 memberships out to you guys in the audience. So a big thank you to all of you. DR Nobody says, what quenches my thirst is another underdog Champions League win and a trophy at Wembley finally. That'd be a big season for Chelsea. He's a big Chelsea fan. The work Liverpool have done has taken some pressure off Arteta. Liverpool are favourites by everyone's measure. This alone takes the pressure off. I don't know. Thank you, Jamie. Jamie had to shoot to go. I don't know if it takes the pressure off Arsenal, George. I wouldn't agree with that personally.
I think it gives them an excuse. And we know one thing about Arsenal fans is they love an excuse, another reason as to why Arteta couldn't get the job done. So when I look at all this Liverpool stuff, I generally just view this as Arsenal fans later on in the season be like, oh, how are we supposed to win a trophy when Liverpool have gone and spent 400 million this window? We can't compete with that. Well, you can. You just make smarter and better acquisitions than they have. You've signed Gyökeres. You got your number one striker. They got their number one striker. There's no reason as to why you don't go compete with them, especially with how far away you was from them last season. You had all these injuries, but you only managed to be a few points away from them. There's no excuse. I generally think there's no excuse. Arsenal fans far too often they seek validation but avoid expectation. So if you're going to want the validation for signing Gyökeres, you're going to want the validation for having the big transfer window that you had, Madueke, Gyökeres, Zubimendi, potentially Eze. You need the expectation. Go out there and get the job done. 5 years, 0 trophies. We need to start holding them accountable. Arteta, do your job.
Big words there. Listen, viewers, let us know, people, what your thoughts are on that. Arsenal fan here. We needed to offload Jesus, Vieira, Nelson, Lokonga, and Trossard and go all in for Eze. Bold statement, I know. A friend of mine was at Lokonga's wedding the other day. Old friend of mine I used to work with at the bank messaged me saying, I ain't spoke to you in ages, Terry, but I hope you're well. I thought of you the other day. I was like, oh, why? I was at a footballer's wedding. And when I was there, I realized that you sort of work in football. And I thought I'd say hello. It was just really random. I was like, oh, I hope you're good. Hope you're well. Doing great. We used to work together in the corporate bank, and I was like, yeah, great. And that's great. So yeah, he got married. So congratulations, Lokonga. I didn't know. So well done. He said Beckham was that popular that he had a movie named after his skills. Bend it like Beckham. By the way, a second movie is in the works. Oh, is it? Is Keira Knightley in it? I ain't seen Keira Knightley in a minute, Jackson to Newcastle, Sesko to Chelsea. Look, Chelsea are not getting Sesko, in my opinion. Not after the players you've gone and signed already. It's not a dig. I just don't personally see that happening, Adam. Chelsea have received more money. Oh, sorry, we've done that super chat. Terry, forget Sesko. A special price for you, 80 million for Darwin Núñez.
Liverpool fans got this cheek that they think they're getting so much money for their players now. All earlier, I was hearing 70 million for Elliott. I said, what? 70 for Elliott?
70 mil is... It's like the devil's work, brother, isn't it? It's like the devil's work. It's the devil's work. Please don't do that, Man United. Hopefully Sesko does an Mbumo and makes things easy. Well, that's my hope, Alex. I hope well, Alex. Like that's my hope as well, George. That I'm going to have the timeline refreshing all day. I'm hoping to see that Sesko is committed to Manchester United, and that's who he wants. Because then we'll get a deal done and we'll get a good deal done. If it's like he's open to both, it's about negotiating with the club, that's where we're done. Because the money from Isak, they'll blow us out the water for that. And we're struggling. Cal here, who's an Arsenal fan, says Morgan Gibbs-White and Elliott walk into the Spurs team. I don't know what you want.
Yeah, I don't know, Cal. I don't know where you guys think. I don't think people watch Tottenham enough to know like where are they walking in. Morgan Gibbs-White could get into our team. Elliott wouldn't. Where does he play? He doesn't play in the 10. He's not better than any of the 10s we got. He doesn't play in the 8 because he's not better than any of the 8s he got. He's not specialized in that position. So I don't know where they would play. And Morgan Gibbs-White though is fair.
Yeah, I think Morgan Gibbs-White. Elliott, I know he had a good under 21s. I'm a little bit unconvinced with Harvey Elliott. I think he's one of those players who, because he looks technically good on the eye, he passes the eye test.
Yeah.
I think he gets away with too many abject performances because even when he makes mistakes, he looks good doing them.
Looks good.
I think, yeah.
No, it's exactly that. And we have that in Madison.
Madison's identical. That's why, like, the eye test for me is the eye test has got to be backed up with genuine output. Especially from attack-minded players. I know he's a midfielder, but they are attacking midfielders. So you look at the output levels, and it's just Madison just does it loads. Oh, look at the way he pirouetted, look at the way he glided past a player. Yeah, but what happened? Nothing. So it's just Naby Keita was like that for Liverpool as well. He'd do all these. I remember once Liverpool fans they got their boy out and not one out to this skill he did against Crystal Palace, and it went everywhere, and it was making my blood boil because literally he did this great like Cruyff turn thing, dribbled and run straight into a Palace player and lost the ball. But they cut that part out the skill. And I even think that like Sky put it on where, wow, look at this bit of skill. Well, he lost the ball. It was pointless. He'd been better off with a simple pass. And so, yeah, I'm a little bit old, but I'm just like, no. Harvey Elliott's good, but he ain't better than Kulusevski. I don't even know if in terms of impact on the right, I don't know if he'll have more impact over a whole season than Brendan Johnson.
I don't know if he will. I actually don't know if he will.
He's a better technician. He's a better technician and all of that. but let's have it right. On actual impact, putting the ball in the back of the net. Yeah, well, he scored away against Paris Saint-Germain. I know, right? Brendan Johnson scored in the European Cup final. But mine, well, I don't know. Did they give it to him or did it go down as an own goal?
It was his goal. It was his
they
goal,
gave it to him. Yeah, Luke should prefer that. Terry, I hope you're recording these predictions from rival fans because their stances, opinions, and goalposts will magically change once the season kicks into gear. Well, that's also true. We are going to do that as we get nearer to the season. We're going to pick where we think teams will finish and how they do. And yeah, we always document it. We'll be going on the Clips channel. And it isn't to hold anyone to account. It's to make further conversations in the future because people do change their minds. There'll be people today that might write Arsenal off, might write Chelsea off, might write United off, that 5 games into the season go, oh, United look great, or bloody hell, Chelsea look better than I thought, or wow. I mean, there is this possibility. Liverpool don't look as good as we all expect. And we go, actually, my mind's changed. So we do record it, but it isn't about trying to catch anyone out of a gotcha moment. It's just we give our opinions today based on how we feel. In a week, in a month, in a year, it may change. My only issue is people that don't address that their mind has changed. But there we go. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of it. But aside from that, it is what it is.
I think last thing on that is just that people's minds are expected to change between now and the start of the season because you have the transfer window still playing out. So I'll probably say like the best time to get a prediction is usually as soon as the transfer window finishes, ask everyone their predictions. And that's so you actually know how people feel about their teams because you know how they feel about everyone's transfer window. So yeah, I think there'll be a lot changing up until now and then, but we've still got another month for that. So just have to wait for it to play out.
No, I agree. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all very, very much for tuning in. George, let everybody know where they can find you, bruv.
Durag Diaries, man. I've got a show on at 2 p.m. with Hooks, North Divide. Pretty much. We're going to be doing a bit of a preview for big up to M1, man. Big up to M1. No, you guys definitely need to win a big trophy. But yeah, no, going to be doing a 2 p.m. show previewing the North London Derby that is this week. We've got a North London Derby Thursday, 12:30. I think that might be Gyökeres' first game. He's been included in the lineup as well. So hey, looking forward to that.
I think I'm doing. I've got to clarify with Goldbridge. I think I'm doing a watch along for that on That's Football. Actually, Mark asked me to do one, so I was like, yeah, I'm up for that. We'll be live after. I'm looking forward to that because there's some of those preseason games. Like Man United don't have none this year. We're playing like Bournemouth, Everton, West Ham.
You got a Premier League summer series.
Yeah, we're playing which, by the way, a lot of United fans are like, I paid for MUTV for the month for the summer to watch all the preseason games. Turns out they're all on Sky. It's that no one needed to buy it, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting one when you guys play them this week. But this here from MS says, George, it's your boy M1. Keep up the good work, and every real Arsenal fan knows that we need to win a big trophy at the end of the season, nothing less. Big up yourself, my friend, for those standards. Look, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Hit like buttons, make sure you're subscribing, get that bell notification turn on as well. We're back today at 5 p.m. For the top 6 show. This will redirect you there. So go and like it, get yourselves ready. I don't know what we're talking about yet. I'm sure news is going to break. So 5 p.m. UK time, we're back. Until next time, everybody, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.